afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our T-level familiarisation webinar. Hopefully you can hear me. I would appreciate if someone could just put into the chat box or the question box that they can hear me all right, and I'll be making a start just after 2. Let me know if the screen is visible and if you can hear me okay. Thank you. Is the screen visible all right? I have a strange thing in the middle of my screen on my view. I don't know whether it's appearing on yours as well. If you can see my slide clearly, then just let me know. I'll just give a couple more minutes for attendees to arrive and then we'll make a start. Can everyone see my first slide there up on the screen? Second. I'm just going to give it a few minutes to let attendees appear, and I'll make a start shortly. It's a couple of minutes past 2 now, so I will make a start. People may still join as we carry on, but I'll make a start and I'll introduce myself. My name is Anne Rogers. I am the technical advisor for the land-based T levels here at City and Guilds. And the purpose of this webinar and the two that follow, this is part one, we've got parts 2 and 3 to follow, is to familiarise providers with the T level, with the structure, with resources that are available from us at City and Guilds and other organisations that are working with us, and to answer any questions or queries that you may have. Give me 1 second. It seemed to be changing the slide on your thing. Give me 1 second. I'm so sorry. The slideshow doesn't seem to be running. Give me 2 minutes. I'm just trying to fix this issue I'm having with my slideshow. I do apologise. I'll be right with you. There we are. Hopefully you can now see the rest of my PowerPoint. I do apologise for that delay. Slight technical issue there with the PowerPoint. In today's session, I'll be looking at learner profile, the structure of the technical qualification within the T level, some advice on support and guidance and resources you can find for the industry placement for the T level, information on progression, and resources available from us and other organisations, and how to get involved in the T level. If you do have any questions, please put them into the Q&A function, and if I have time this afternoon, I will answer them individually. If not, I will get back to you via email and I may also add them to the FAQ page on the website if relevant. Do please note that this webinar is being recorded, and with your consent, if any feedback or issues are raised, we will share those with the Institute Ofqual and the Department of Education. So let's get started, and I do apologise for the delay. Hopefully it's working all right now. So in terms of learner profile, the typical T-level learner is a 16 to 19-year-old learner. The funding is available for learners aged 16 to 19. So the learner should be between 16 and 18 when they first register for the T-level. They're a level 3 learner, so in terms of entry requirements, providers will be setting their own entry requirements, of course, but there will be the typical level 3 entry requirements in terms of GCSE or equivalent. Learners will be expected to have achieved a grade 4 in English and Maths GCSE or be working towards achieving those grades. Obviously, learners that may have progressed up from level 2, for example, may not have already achieved that grade 4 in English and Maths, so they may be working towards that. Now, the content of the T-level is substantial, not only in terms of the practical work that the learners will do, but also the academic part of it. So learners need to be, as a typical level 3 learner should be, self-motivated, able to work independently, able to research. And in terms of the industry placement and the work involved in the T-level, a certain maturity in behaviour and attitude really is necessary. And those behaviours and attitudes towards employment and employability can be developed as part of their college time with providers. Learners may already have an idea of the type of workplace they want to go into or career that they want to progress onto. So the industry placement can be tailored to their requirements. Some learners may have no idea of what they want to progress onto. So guidance in terms of finding an industry placement and finding the right course is really essential. The T-level is a 2-year course. The entire course is mandatory. There is no optionality. So it's important that the learner is on the right course from the start. In terms of the composition of the T-level, this may already be familiar to you, but I'll quickly go over it with you. The TQ, or technical qualification part, is in the large blue boxes there. This is the part that we at City and Guilds are developing. And the TQ consists of the core and core pathway. The core pathway is unique to the land-based T-levels. The core, the common core, is taken by all learners. So every learner, whichever specialism they are taking in the land-based T-level, will take the same common core knowledge and common core assessment. The core pathways are more contextualised towards the particular specialisms, and they've been introduced because of the diverse nature of the land-based T-level. And for more detail on the core pathway structure, you can refer to my previous webinar. The core also includes the employer set project, and those 3 components, the common core, the core pathway and the employer set project together within the land-based T-level is around about 30% of the total TQ time. It's all knowledge-based and it's assessed via externally set and externally marked exams and the employer set project, which is also externally set and externally marked. And altogether, those components are given a grade of A* to E. The occupational specialism, which is the other part of the TQ, will take up 70% of the total TQ time in the land-based T-level. That's where all the practical based work is. So it's really important for land-based learners, obviously in every sector, to get those practical skills and develop those practical skills. And we totally encourage centres to be delivering the occupational specialism content from day one. It's a large component of the T-level in land. And that is assessed via a synoptic assignment, which covers both practical and written understanding. Very similar to the synoptic assessment in our current technicals. The other parts of the T-level are the industry placement, which I'll talk about very shortly. Maths and English, if the learner needs to work towards the grade 4 GCSE or equivalent, and any tutorial and pastoral time that's included in their timetabling as well. In terms of the industry placement, every T-level, and this is across the board in all sectors, not just land, every T-level includes an industry placement with a relevant employer that's focused on developing the practical and technical skills required for an occupation within the sector. And that will last a minimum of 315 hours, which is approximately 45 days of full-time employment, but it can be longer. And it's really up to providers how this is organised. It may be via day release, 1 day a week within their timetabling. It may be in a block, either spread across the 2 years. It may be in between year 1 and year 2. It can be at any point that the provider thinks is appropriate. And providers and local employers between them will ensure that each learner has a relevant industry placement, and there is lots of support available from the ESFA and from other organisations in developing and making these industry placements successful. Paperwork will be necessary. It's important that the learner keeps a logbook or portfolio of some sort of their industry placement, so that you can see what skills are being developed. And mutual support between the employer and the provider, I think, is really important to getting these industry placements designed properly. It's important, I think, that the learners are given a valuable experience in their industry placement, and it's important to encourage the employers to see the learner as an employee during their placement, not just an extra pair of hands to sweep the floor or make a cup of tea. They're there to learn relevant skills, to develop their skills, to develop their confidence, to demonstrate employability behaviours and attitudes, and to grow as an employable person. The industry placement guidance on the government website has recently been updated. It was updated in September this year, and the updated guidance can be obtained from the link that's on this slide there. In terms of resources to support not only providers, but to support learners and employers as well, is available. One of the most valuable places to find resources is on the Association of Colleges website, and the URL on that slide is a link to that resources page. And on that page there are many dozens of downloadable or printable booklets, leaflets and resources, including tools and templates to help employers, learners, parents and providers in supporting everyone towards these successful industry placements. And on the right-hand side of that slide there, I have put a screenshot of the page that you get taken to from that link. And that's just a very small example of the resources that are available from that link. And each one of those is a downloadable document. They're all freely available. The one on the top there, the planning industry placements, for example, includes a really useful step-by-step guide, almost month by month, in fact, of preparing and planning for industry placements, starting right now, before you've even thought of delivering the qualification, right up to when the learners will be doing their industry placements, and that's a really useful guide. But there's guidance on matching learners to placements, guides on how to prepare your students and engage them in their placements, how they can implement them, what to do during the placement, what to do after the placement. So that's a really useful page. I apologise if my sound's a bit strange. I do seem to have someone working outside with a drill or something, so I apologise if the sound's a bit rubbish. In terms of support for delivery staff at centres, the ETF, the Education and Training Foundation, offer a very comprehensive programme of CPD for the T-level. And again, that is a hyperlink there on the slide that will take you to the relevant page for the ETF. And there are lots and lots of all sorts of different types of resources towards professional development in terms of delivering and assessing the T-level. And the ETF are working with us as well to develop resources that are specific to land, but there's lots of general T-level resources on there as well, so do have a look at that. So to move on to progression, the T-levels alongside A-levels and apprenticeships form part of the government's level 3 reform programme. So each of those level 3 qualifications, whether it's an A-level, a T-level or an apprenticeship, should enable progression to either higher education, skilled employment or a higher apprenticeship. Now, from the land T-level, progression to skilled employment is obviously quite straightforward. But I do know that progression to HE is something that a lot of providers have been asking about. So I've got a couple of slides here to give some advice on that. So in terms of progression to HE, the T-level, as I'm sure you know, is based on the apprenticeship standards written by the Institute. And these relate to the occupational maps, which are available via that link there. The occupational maps bring everything together. They show where the technical qualifications can lead, and there is one for each route. You can drill down on that website page into the land-based industries and into each sector of the land-based industries to see the sort of not only degree course, but jobs, etc., that learners can progress onto. Now, in terms of the T-level awards UCAS points that are equivalent to 3 A-levels, and I will outline those in more detail shortly. And those UCAS points can, of course, be used to progress onto a variety of different types of university course. But in terms of progressing onto a degree course that's relevant to the T-level, this is what we are looking at the moment. The DFE and IFATE are currently raising awareness for the T-level progression, currently concentrating on waves 1 and 2 T-levels, which are currently in delivery. Land is a wave 4 T-level, and the first land T-level will be available for delivery in September 2023. The department and the institute are producing a list of universities that will accept at least one route of T-level progression, which I will show you shortly. And by the time Wave 4 is live, universities will have a better idea of what the T-levels are, what the learner profile is, and I think that's a good thing. The current consensus, it does seem to be really positive in terms of accepting T-levels as a progression route into higher education. Now, Alison Whittle, our post-16 technical advisor, has, as some of you will probably know, very close links with all the universities and with UCAS and with the department. And she has set up a focus group of universities that offer land-based courses to look at the T-level assessments in land, with the main objective of assessing their suitability for progression to HE. And how they align to the various courses available. And they will be mapped across between the T-level and these degree courses to make sure that there will be progression from the T-level to HE. Once this is done, we will produce a spreadsheet of universities that are relevant. These spreadsheets are already available for engineering and management and admin on the website, and we will be producing one for land as well. And once that's produced, it will be available on the City and Guilds website, as it currently is for our technical qualifications. And because we do have a great deal of success with progression from the technical qualifications into HE, we have a strong relationship with universities that offer those land-based courses. Alison tells me she isn't particularly concerned that unis may offer progression from the T-levels. Those that currently accept technicals as a progression route are expected to accept the T-levels. But we are working with these universities to make sure that this mapping does happen. Now, this slide is a list of the universities that offer land-based courses. Now, the link at the top of the page there is a link to the list of universities that have committed to accepting at least one T-level route. Now, currently the land T-level is not live, but it's a good starting point to look at for land progression. And what Alison has kindly done is, from that list of over 100 higher education institutes and providers, is to draw from that list the higher education universities and providers that offer land-based courses, and that's the list that you can see on that slide there. And Alison is working closely with a great deal of these to make sure that they are A, aware of T-levels and how they are assessed, and B, to make sure that that assessment strategy, etc., is relevant for T-level progression to university. Higher education providers, for example, colleges that offer HE provision, have already agreed to accept T-levels as a route onto their degree courses. But as you can see, there's a wide range of universities there on that list that offer land-based courses, and ourselves and the Institute and the Department for Education are working to raise awareness of the T-levels and of the need for progression onto university for those learners that wish to progress. In terms of UCAS points available for the T-level, there's an example there of a grid, the way that the T-level grade is worked out. Now, not every T-level will have exactly the same content in the grid. The pattern of distinctions, merits and passes may differ slightly from one T-level to another, but this is one example. This is how the T-level grade is worked out. So you can see that table at the top, across the top of that table, highlighted in blue, is the grade for the occupational specialism, which is marked from pass, merit, distinction. And down the side, which is highlighted in green, is the grade awarded for the core component. And in land-based, the core component is the Common Core exam, the Core Pathway exam, and the Employer Set project. Those three components together are given a grade of A star to E. And you can use those two different component grades to work out the overall T-level grade from distinction star to pass. So as one example, a learner that gets a D in their core component and a distinction in their occupational specialism will come out with a merit overall for their T-level. As I say, the content of the grid may vary slightly from one T-level to another, but that's one example. That translates into UCAS points as per the table underneath. So a distinction star at T-level is the equivalent of 3 A stars at A-level. A distinction T-level is equivalent to 3 A's. A merit is the equivalent of 3 B's. A pass with C or above on the core component is the equivalent of 3 C's. And a pass with a D or an E on the core component is the equivalent of 3 D's. Learners are given a single grade for the T-level. It's not a granular grade, it is a single grade. And they are equivalent to those 3 A-levels with the UCAS tariff points as per that table. So in terms of support that we can offer you, we are organising provider networks and face-to-face events for land-based. There has been a series of network events across the country already, so thank you to anyone who's participated in any of those. If you require any help or advice, if you want a centre visit, if you want to have a Teams meeting to talk about T-levels, please do let me know, contact me. I am available, as you know, via email or telephone. Do sign up for email updates. It's always useful to hear the email alerts, any news that may be relevant to the land-based sector or the T-level. We do produce a quarterly T-level e-bulletin. That covers all the T-levels, all the waves of T-level, so you have to scroll down to find the land part of it. But any important updates will be put onto that e-bulletin. And do keep checking our website as well, because the T-level page is being constantly updated. As you can imagine, for land, we are things are moving apace with the development, etc. So there will be updated information on the website regularly. So our web page on our City and Guilds website contains lots of resources and lots of information. Do let me know if you need any help with navigating around that website, but you can sign up there for your email alerts and for getting involved with developing the T-levels as well. There's a technical advisors page where you can find your technical advisor for each sector. You can get access to the e-bulletin. You can have a look at the timeline for the 12-month countdown for the agricultural, land management and production T-level, etc. And we will make specifications available on the website as soon as we are able. This next slide is just an example of a couple of things available from the website. On the left-hand side, you can see these red boxes. Each of those is a tab. This is on the T-levels page. You can find information for employers, for providers and learners. The resources and support tab is a really important one. There's a teaching and learning resources menu on there, and all sorts of other resources you can find. A tab to sign up for our events and webinars, and an FAQs page. And on the left-hand side is an example of our countdown calendar, and that is a live document which will be updated as and when events, webinars, networks, etc. are planned and put in. There will be, for example, a webinar in January for support for approvals. Currently this is an old slide, but currently it's down as December, but it will be January. So if you are interested in applying for approvals for delivering the T-level, do have a look at that webinar, and I will put out more information on that very shortly. In terms of resources for you as delivery providers, we will be producing digital learning resources for the Common Core in the land-based T-level. Now, on this slide, there is an example from construction because their resources are already available. The land resources are still being developed, so they're not available yet. But you can see that there are, from that list from construction, resources available for each of the core components. And if you drill down into each of those zip files, you can find schemes of work, PowerPoints to help with delivery, worksheets for your learners, examples of multiple choice questions for formative assessments. There will be curriculum planners, etc. available, and all that will be available on the website as soon as they are developed. If you are a subject matter expert, or you know of any subject matter experts who would like to be involved in developing those resources with us, do please get in touch either with myself or with our technicals quality team, and we can get you on board with that. That would be really helpful. Other resources, obviously webinars and events such as this. I will be running Ask the Expert Teams meetings via Microsoft Teams, where it's basically a drop-in session where you can come and ask questions and look for guidance. We will be producing sample assessment materials, so you will be able to see sample exam papers, marking grids, sample employer set projects, and GSEMs, which is guidance standard exemplification materials for the occupational specialisms, and I'll talk about that a little bit in a moment, and guidance and advice on how to upload your evidence and grades once it gets to that stage. Now, we are still in the development stages of the land-based T-level. We are in the last stages of validation for agricultural land management and production, heading towards our final milestone. But obviously, once the animal care and management and equine care and management specialisms are released for development, we'll be looking for help with validation with those as well. So if you are interested in getting involved, this is a screenshot of the T-levels providers page, and virtually the first thing you see on that page is a place to sign up for the expression of interest form if you are interested in helping us with validation or development of that content. So do get involved if you can. The more people that we get involved, the better, the more robust the qualification will be, the more feedback that we can provide to the Institute towards development of these qualifications, the better. So do sign up if you're interested in helping. It's really important to get your views on the content, assessments, manageability of each specialism within the T-level. They are considered in the development, they are shared with the Institute and with Ofqual at every stage. So, as I said, the more feedback, the better. So do get in touch if you're interested. And if you have already signed up via that expression of interest form, then do look out for email invitations either from myself or from Landex to get involved. It is often at short notice, that's the nature of the development process. But even if you can't, for example, attend a validation meeting in person, there will always be feedback forms that you can fill in and submit in your own time. We're also looking for employers to be involved in validation throughout the life of the T-level, not just in the development stages. So if you're an employer, or if you know of any employers within the land-based sectors that would be interested in getting involved in validation, do let us know as well. You can email our industry manager, Sally Green, for more information on employer involvement. Now, these GSEMs, Guidance Standard Exemplar Materials, are materials that are going to be produced to help centres with the assessment of the occupational specialisms. And what they are is basically a sample assessment that will be produced by a member of staff or a subject matter expert. That person will conduct these sample assessments and produce answers and evidence. They might be photographs, they may be videos, they may be written answers that will show other centres what does a pass level of competence look like for this assessment, what does a distinction level of competence look like for this assessment. Once these are produced, they'll be available on our website for all providers to use as guidance towards assessing their own learners. These again are in the development stages, and we are still looking for help with them. So if you are interested in helping us produce these GSEMs for any of the occupational specialisms in land, currently, obviously, we're looking for those within the agriculture, land management and production side of the T-level. We can provide payment of £1,500 per GSEM, that's per occupational specialism, which would include both pass and distinction information. And we are looking to start this as soon as possible. So if you are interested, do get in touch and I can arrange a Teams meeting with myself and Richard Burns, our development manager, where we can set the ball rolling and discuss details and arrangements. So let us know if you're interested. That would be really helpful. Another way of getting involved is via the associate vacancies. The easiest way to find these is by putting associate vacancies into the search bar in the City and Guilds website. If you are interested in working with City and Guilds as an EPA, as a moderator, an EQA, working as a TQA within the T levels, with exam writing or auditing, do have a look. These are paid roles that we give training for, and they are really useful both to yourself for your own development. They can be useful to your entire department, and it's obviously really useful to us because we get the right subject matter experts in each role. So if you are interested in getting involved, do please have a look at the associate vacancies page. There are currently vacancies available in land across the board. Coming up are next couple of webinars, part 2 and part 3 of T-level familiarisation. The part 2 webinar, which is on the 9th of December, covers the core component of the T-level. So I'll be talking about the common core, the core pathway and the employer set project, what sorts of things to expect and how they are assessed. And then part 3 is in January, which will be about the occupational specialisms and how they are assessed. So do look out for those. They are already open for registration. So if you haven't registered, you can do so now, and I'll hope to see you there. Well, thank you, and thank you for your patience at the start. I apologise for the slight hitch at the beginning, but hopefully that was informative for you. If there are any questions, let me have a look. I can't see any questions on the Q&A box, but I will keep the webinar open for a couple of minutes to see if any questions appear. If not, thank you very much for your time. If you need any help or advice, please do get in touch. And if you need a centre visit, I'm always happy to come out to a centre and talk to you face to face. So thank you very much for your time, and goodbye. Please do put any questions in the box if you have any. Thank you.